What's going on, everybody? Today we're talking strictly Fort Lauderdale. We're talking about the top 10 best neighborhoods. You may have seen me do a video similar to this in the past. This is going to be the 2023 update of the top 10 best neighborhoods in Fort Lauderdale. And if this is your first time checking out the channel, welcome. If not, welcome back. And if you're not subscribed, you're gonna wanna go ahead and do that because I'm dropping new videos every week on what it's like to move to or live in Fort Lauderdale and the entire South Florida metro area. That's including Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Pompano Beach, Boca, Delray, West Palm Beach, anywhere in South Florida. And yes, I am a realtor here in the state of Florida, so just as much as I love making these videos, I love even more to help you with your real estate needs. So this number and email that's popping up right here, that's how you can get a hold of me. If you have any questions or you're planning a move down here to South Florida, feel free to reach out at any time. I'd love to hear from you. But with that being said, let's get right into it. Top 10 neighborhoods in Fort Lauderdale. And this is not based on any list online. This is what I did was I went into the MLS, looked at recent activity, saw where a majority of people have been moving in the last 6 months, and I may have thrown in a couple extra that I just happen to know are really popular. So in no particular order, let's get started with the heart of the city, downtown Fort Lauderdale / Las Olas. So this is your typical downtown, fast-paced environment. What you're gonna find here is obviously a majority of condos and townhomes, high-rises, and some rental buildings. You're not really gonna find the single-family life down here. You will outside of downtown, which we'll get into that. But if you're looking for that walkability, if you're just looking to live in an area where you can get to know a lot of people really quick, this is probably gonna be the best area for you. You have downtown itself, where you're gonna find a lot of the high-rise buildings. Then you have Las Olas, which is the commercial strip that runs just east of downtown with all the shops, restaurants, galleries, stuff like that, all within walking distance. You will find some condo living on Las Olas itself, just outside of downtown. But I find that a lot of you guys that are looking to move out here and purchase a home, you're not necessarily looking to live in this area. Many of you are coming from places like New York, Chicago, Boston. You're kind of looking to get out of that city life. So I just wanted to start with the heart of the city, downtown. This is a great area to live, like I mentioned, if you're looking for that fast-paced lifestyle. But let's go ahead and talk about our second neighborhood, which is gonna be just southeast of downtown, and that's Rio Vista. So you've definitely heard me talk about Rio Vista before. Some of the most expensive real estate in the entire city of Fort Lauderdale is on Rio Vista Isles, just southeast of downtown. Great proximity to get that single-family lifestyle, suburban lifestyle, while only being 5 minutes from downtown. I mean, a lot of the streets in Rio Vista, you have a view of the skyline. And you're just east of US 1, so you're located really close to a lot of good restaurants like Fat Boy Sushi. You have, your food shopping, everything is gonna be right there on that street. And I did mention that this is some of the most expensive real estate in the entire city. That doesn't mean that you have to break the bank to live there. The thing that makes Rio Vista really different, number one, I mean, you have great ocean access if you do live on the water and have a boat. Number two, it's kind of charming for, a luxury upscale neighborhood. It's pretty charming, some older homes there, tree-lined streets. One cool thing about Rio Vista, which may not seem like a big deal, but if you have kids, it probably will be, is that there's sidewalks on all the streets in the neighborhood, which if you're familiar with Florida, South Florida in general, you'll know that a lot of these neighborhoods, sometimes there's no sidewalks. You have to resort to walking on the street itself, so there are sidewalks. Again, it may not sound like a big deal, but it kind of is to some people. And you're gonna find mostly single family homes and some smaller condo buildings as you get more to the outskirts of the neighborhood. And before I forget, there is a new construction community that's going up called 6th and Rio. It's a boutique building with only about 100 residences. The first floor is all townhomes, the rest is condos, and that's going to be starting in the 900s. But like I mentioned, in Rio Vista, you do not have to break the bank to live here, even though many of the homes are in the multi-millions, up to 20, 30 million. You can get a home starting around 700,000 here for a smaller, older home. But the one cool thing about Rio Vista, property values are always going up. All right, so next neighborhood moving north across the river, across Las Olas, is gonna be one of my favorite neighborhoods, Coley Hammock. And this is actually split by Las Olas Boulevard, so part of it's on the north side, part of it's on the south side. And the thing that I really like about Coley Hammock is the charm. I mean, probably top 3 most charming neighborhoods in Fort Lauderdale. It's got that old Florida feel, again with the tree-lined streets. And you wouldn't know that you can probably walk from your house, depending on where you live, right to the Las Olas Strip, because like I mentioned, Las Olas splits it directly in the middle. The one downside is that people love living here so much, you don't tend to see a lot of activity or a ton of homes go up for sale in this neighborhood. So typically, you're looking at around $1 million as an entry point. If you're lucky, you may be able to snag something for just under $1 million, but like I mentioned, don't expect to see a lot on the market in this neighborhood. Now, if you want something similar to Coley Hammock with that old Florida charm, but maybe have a little bit more of an opportunity to get something a little bit further away from the city, let's move northeast to Victoria Park, which you've heard me talk countless times about this neighborhood. I know I said Coley Hammock was probably one of my favorites, but I think Victoria Park is my favorite. And I mean, that's because of a number of things. The location, it's just northeast of downtown, you're 5-minute drive. It's kind of got that old, charming Florida feel. You're not really getting the standard ranch style homes there. You tend to see everything. And the walkability is great for a suburban neighborhood. I mean, you have US 1 to the west, and then on the opposite side of US 1, you have Flagler Village. And on US 1, on that little strip on the Victoria Park side, you have all your shopping centers with Winn-Dixie, Fresh Market. You got really good restaurants like Foxy Brown's and Doc B's. So in addition to downtown, you also have that strip right there. So Victoria Park, I will be living there one day. I don't know when. Also, they have one of the top parks in the city, which is Holiday Park. It's over 90 acres. It's got a ton of stuff, way too much stuff for me to list, so I'm just gonna show you on the screen everything that it has. It's got the Parker Playhouse, which is a theater. And the cool thing is that homes in Victoria Park, talking about single family, starting right around the 600 range. So this is probably your best opportunity to be right there near the heart of the city, but still live that active suburban lifestyle. All right, so let's move a little bit north and a little bit west to the next neighborhood, which is gonna be Poinciana Heights. So Poinciana Heights overall, its location. So you're about 10 minutes from downtown, just north of downtown, and then you're also right across the bridge from Wilton Manors. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, whether it's the downtown Fort Lauderdale lifestyle or the Wilton Drive lifestyle, which again, I've done a video on the best cities to live outside of Fort Lauderdale. Wilton Manors was one of them. I will go ahead and link that above. But Poinciana Heights, like I mentioned, the location is what makes it really popular. If you look at the map, US 1 kind of curves into Sunrise and then curves back down. So Poinciana Heights is located like right in the middle of that curve. So not only do you have all the shopping centers on Sunrise, which is south of the neighborhood, you have like the public shopping center there, but then as US 1 bends to the north, you also have all those shopping centers and restaurants on US 1. You have the Whole Foods there, Best Buy, and really just pretty much everything you need. Another cool thing about Poinciana Heights is that it's basically primarily only zoned for single family. So you're really only gonna find single family homes there, except for 2 streets where they allow condos and townhomes. You will find some older homes here, some of them torn down, a lot of them completely renovated. Some of them are going to be waterfront right there on Poinciana Drive. And I don't want to downplay the rest of Fort Lauderdale, but I did actually, for my business, I was knocking on doors around an open house that I was having in the neighborhood, and it was a really hot day, and I have to say, Poinciana Heights, there's really some friendly people there. I had no bad interactions. You know, if you've gone door to door before, how that can go. Poinciana Heights, nothing but friendly people in my experience. But the real driving factor just to bring people to this neighborhood is the location between Wilton Manors and Fort Lauderdale. And it also has a really attractive price point with homes starting around $500,000. All right, so moving east of US 1, we're gonna go to our next neighborhood, which is Coral Ridge, probably overall the most popular neighborhood in Fort Lauderdale. That's actually where I am right now. It's located east of US 1 in between Oakland Park Boulevard and Sunrise, and you can actually get to the beach from both of those streets. So no matter where you live, you have great beach access. Bayview Drive runs right through the middle of the neighborhood, and everything to the west of Bayview is pretty much going to be dry lots minus the homes that are on the river there, and everything east of Bayview is going to be canal homes. So if you own a boat, great ocean access. It's probably also worth noting that Coral Ridge has the only Chick-fil-A in the entire city of Fort Lauderdale, and again, that may not seem like a big deal, but I know there's a lot of Chick-fil-A fanatics out there.
It is my pleasure, sir. It's my pleasure to serve you.
If you've seen the traffic that the drive-through line causes on US 1, you'd understand why. Coral Ridge is also zoned for one of the top elementary schools in the entire area, which is Bayview Elementary. And while you will find some homes like up to $20 million on the intercoastal, starting point to get into this neighborhood is around $700,000. So if we keep heading up Bayview and cross Oakland Park Boulevard, next we have Coral Ridge Country Club. So it's separate from Coral Ridge. This is between Oakland Park and Commercial, so just north of Coral Ridge. Same as Coral Ridge, where you have Bayview that runs right up the middle, and the homes on the east side are gonna have the canals and the waterways. But this time, majority of the homes on the west side of Bayview, you're gonna have Coral Ridge Country Club, so you have a golf course, a championship golf course. And the homes are kind of different here. It gives you more of that country club feel. And it's actually home to one of only 2 gated communities in the entire city of Fort Lauderdale, which is the Enclave, which is a gated community. And when I say gated, I don't mean like it has the railroad arm, whatever you call that thing, and you drive up to it and it just opens and lets you in. We do have a ton of those in the city. No, this is a true gated community, security, 24-hour security, guarded access. You can't get in. And the cool thing about it is all these homes in the Enclave are brand new construction. And in here, you're gonna find homes in the $4 to $10 million range. But overall, in Coral Ridge Country Club as a whole, we're looking at a starting point of about $800,000. All right, let's keep moving north. Next, we're gonna talk about the only other gated community in Fort Lauderdale, which is Bay Colony. So if you keep going up Bayview and you get all the way to the end, pretty much where Bayview meets US 1, Bay Colony is just to the east of that. Again, fully guarded, secured, gated community. You can't get in. And the cool thing about Bay Colony is every single home here is on the water. It's a small neighborhood, probably only about 100 homes. You're really close to Pinecrest School, which is maybe about a 10-minute drive, which has an A+ rating on niche.com. So that's one of the top schools, private schools in the area. And so when we're talking about a neighborhood like Bay Colony, you are really close to the beach, but you're much further away from downtown. But living in a neighborhood like this, you don't want to be downtown. You won't find anything for probably under $2 million in this neighborhood for one of the older homes. And we're talking upwards of 20, 25 million on the high end for an intercoastal front home. And directly west of Bay Colony, our next neighborhood is gonna be Imperial Point. And this is gonna be a really quiet, suburban style neighborhood. Very desirable. It used to be a lot of retirees. This is gonna be one of those neighborhoods where you're gonna see a lot of the standard ranch style homes that were built between the 50s and 70s. Not a ton of character. It's a very quiet neighborhood, and it's very desirable just for that reason alone. And this is one of those other neighborhoods where the values keep going up. I had mentioned in my previous video that when I first moved out here, I was showing homes in this neighborhood 450, 500,000 would get you a nicely renovated home. Now that's pretty much the starting point for an entry home here, which is going to be either really small or really old. There is a small section in Imperial Point called the Pitchfork, which is where you'll find some waterfront homes. Those are usually right around $1 million. Doesn't really go too high above that. There is a hospital in the neighborhood, Broward Health. There is a public library. But the thing that probably makes Imperial Point so desirable, other than the fact that it's such a quiet neighborhood, is you're close to the beach, you know, maybe 10 minutes away. You're close to Pinecrest, that school I was talking about before, and you're close to I-95. Again, maybe about 10 minutes max, but you're still far enough away to not make it annoying. So this next neighborhood, again, I don't tend to see a lot of activity in it, but it's very unique. So I just wanted to throw it on the list, and it's gonna be Lauderdale Beach. So now we're heading across the intercoastal onto the Barrier Island. We're just south of Oakland Park Boulevard, and Lauderdale Beach is kind of a hidden gem. One of the few neighborhoods in South Florida where you're gonna find single family homes on the sand. So it kind of gives you that private beach feel. And I kind of discovered it by accident. I just happened to be driving through the neighborhood and I see these small entrances to the beach, and when you go to this beach, I mean, it really gives you that private beach feel, because it's not like your typical beach in Fort Lauderdale where all the tourists go. It's hidden back in the neighborhood. So I don't think a ton of people know about it. I could be wrong, but it's definitely a hidden gem in my opinion. One downside to living here could be that you don't really have like your daily necessities close by. They are supposed to be building a Publix pretty much right across A1A, but I mean, they've been saying that for about 4 years now. They haven't started construction. I don't even know exactly where it's supposed to go, but pretty much everything you need is gonna be just north of Oakland Park Boulevard. There is some good restaurants around there like Mastro's and Shooters, which I've spoken about before, but as far as your daily necessities go, you may have to drive a little bit further north to get those. And this neighborhood is all single family homes, like I mentioned. You will frequently see a lot of people walking throughout the neighborhood. Like I mentioned, the people who do know about it, who want that private beach, that's where they go. So you will often see a lot of foot traffic in the neighborhood. But overall, there's just not that much activity. I guess it's one of those areas where once people move, they typically don't want to leave. So an entry point to get into this neighborhood is right around $1 million, and you're gonna find homes in the 20 million range here. Now that might have been a longer video than what I usually do. I know I kind of went through these neighborhoods fast, but I wanted to give you an overall rundown. My number and email are popping up back here. If any of those neighborhoods in particular piques your interest a little bit and you want to talk a little bit more about it, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. Also, for those of you who may be interested in buying a home in Florida, but maybe you're not ready to hop on a Zoom call with me just yet, I just created a free home buyer's guide, which I'm gonna link in the description, so feel free to download that. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll catch you on the next one.